Hey, Shalom, Akim, Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone that rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. News in the gospel, bro, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the spirit. This clip has pretty much went viral. I believe this is the Savoy, the Savvy show, or the I get these clips from something called the Savoy Show, which is basically a podcast that certain celebrity jakes come on there and talk about their experiences, whether it be in the industry or the sports and just in general. You know, just like a generalized podcast that goes into sports and entertainment. Like a lot of these platforms you're seeing, like with Adam 22, which he's a total he's a total agent, right along with Vlad TV. You got No Jumper was Adam 22. But, you had Whack 100. And all these podcasts that you see in these jakes go on now is basically them telling on themselves and snitching on themselves, man. Because if you pay attention to it, like you got Drink Champs, you got all these other podcasts and these jakes, they go on there and they give their account of what they've done and things they've done to go into the industry, and they give certain tales about what they've seen behind closed doors. And ultimately, it's all really snitching and spilling the beans and incriminating themselves, because you got this guy by the name of Big U. I believe allegedly he put a hit out on Nipsey Hussle due to money and fame and all this other shit, which we could all ritualistic at the end of the day. But allegedly Big U was responsible for putting hit on a couple of guys in the industry, and now he's pretty much getting ready to get the can. But then you had a guy by the name of Big U, And then you got other guys that went on Adam 22 or No Jumper podcast, and now the feds investigating their ass. Because you jakes, man, you stupid as all hell. You go out there, you spill the beans because they give you a platform, and all of a sudden you end up in the feds. Okay, so this is Terrence Howard, which everybody knows who he is. It says, Terrence Howard says everybody that attended Diddy's parties got fucked and lost their man card. And you know what? He's not the only celebrity that has come out and said it. Okay, you got some that made it quiet as kept, but they came out and they exposed this Diddy guy, which, I always like to say Diddy, he's a small guy, man. Okay, Diddy is probably like a lower level gatekeeper, but he's not doing anything outside of the so-called or outside of the small hat's approval. Because for you to believe that Diddy have this type of power to ruin a whole nation of executives in the industry, if you trip it. Okay, Diddy is nothing but a gatekeeper. In order for you to lock horns with Amalek, you got to go through the likings of Diddy's, LL Cool J's, Jay-Z's, Those are the modern day gatekeepers. Got a guy by the name of Leroy Cohen, which is an Amalekite, which is a music executive. And a lot of these Amalekites, they get their big breaking music off exploiting you jakes, man. Okay, because every major record label is owned by a small hat. And Diddy, he works for the small hats. He just was the fall guy that had to take the fall due to his little humiliation ritual, whatever it is. But Terrence Howard is really exposing that if you went to Diddy's party, you didn't got ran up the ass. Okay, like it was one event that Denzel was talking about. Like, oh yeah, I went to a Diddy party, He went to a Diddy party, but he talking about that he left early. But ain't no way in hell that Denzel is worth $460-something million and he ain't take it up the ass. So come on, man. I mean, you're a good actor, but if you look at Denzel, man, he's high all the damn time. Same thing with he got this chick Jaguar, right? Which she just on there telling it all, which she's set up to do that, controlled opposition. Then you got you got a lot of these Chicago drill rappers coming out and admitting and snitching, going into the King Von ordeal. The Lil Durk shit. You think Lil Durk ain't been compromised? Of course he has, man. All these rappers and celebrities and singers. Like, look at this guy, Justin Bieber. Hell, Will Smith. Jaden Smith, Willow Smith, Jada Pinkett. All these celebrities that Jake has thought have made it the hard way through the hard knocks have been compromised, man. All right, so I'm going to play this video. And we'll get a couple of precepts. But before I do that, let me get one precept real quick. It's not going to be a long lesson. But this is the cost of selling your soul. Like people say, oh, you can never sell your soul. You can give up your integrity in order to get exceptional wealth because they brought it out. I remember when I first came into the truth, and even before then, you know, I was watching them Illuminati videos heavy, and you know, I think every brother was really into that, you know, because that was kind of like the spark that sparked the interest, so to speak, in the truth, man. Like I watched like hours of these videos. They was all on YouTube. They're going to the hand symbols and they're throwing up the Eye of Horus and, you know, the different sacrifices and how you had the $10 million club, the $20 million club, the $40 million club. And in order for you to make that Tom Cruise money, you know, which he's a Scientologist, you gotta hit that $40 million club, that $20 million mark. You gotta do some shit. You know, they'll pass you some weed, cocaine, you know what I'm saying? They give you a lot of women, they give you a lot of drugs and alcohol, pills, you know, and they'll take you to a room where men are at and freaking off with these men, you know, whether you're aware or not, you know, and then all of a sudden you wake up $20 million richer, but you got all that baggage in your soul and your spirit, and you can't sleep at night, you know, because you're compromised, man. So this is the book of Matthew 16 and 26. It says, "For what is a man profited if he should gain the whole world and lose his soul? Or what should a man give in exchange for his soul?" Okay, so yeah, man, it's called selling out, which 95% of these celebrities you see on television, whether it be podcasting is the new thing. Okay, people are selling out through podcasts now, man. Okay, podcast is the new thing. You get you a podcast like an Adam 22, which he's a cuck anyway, but you get you one of them no jumper podcasts, and 9 times out of 10, hey, you had to do some things. All of them did it. Every last one of them. Okay, none of them is exempt. Jay-Z, all of them. Tupac, Biggie. Hell, no, Biggie was on some high level shit, because if you listen to his lyrics, he pretty much exposes it in his lyrics. You know, it was one lyric he mentioned, I think he said something about your kids. He said, fuck them in their ass and then toss them over the bridge or some shit like that. One of his lyrics that he mentioned, and toss them over the bridge. I mean, he was pretty much going into the darkness of this industry. And people was like, damn, that was a dope bar, son. But no, man, these men are telling. All right. It says, for what is a man profited if he should gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what should a man give in exchange for his soul? And don't think for one second that some of these Israelites ain't involved in some of this shit on lower levels either. Especially these men that deem themselves high priests, chief priests, with all this commercialism and rapping and, you know, these branding and the PR firms and all this other shit that they're introducing into the truth. Don't think for one second that these men ain't trying to, or they're not rubbing elbows with this likeness behind doors. Okay, but anyway, let's listen to the video. And we'll get a couple more precepts, and that'll be that.
You lose your man card. That's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it. A man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
Now, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back.
You see this guy saying, are you saying what I think you're saying? You know what the fuck he's saying, nigga. Because, hey, you think in order to get this podcast, you think you ain't have to rub some elbows with some wicked people behind closed doors? You sadly mistaken, bro. Okay, all these celebrities are into this shit. They have to be, because in order for them to make that money, they got to sell out. Okay, it may be a few that may have made it between the cracks without fully compromising themselves, but believe me, if you still relevant to this day, you've done some shit. And the ones that didn't do it, or the ones that are exposing it, end up dead, or they're not famous.
You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things. When you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. get punked out and pimped out by some over greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid, and next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean, one of the things you're seeing, you went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it, so that
And that's why Mike Tyson said in one of his interviews when they was interviewing him at his crib one day, he was like, all this he got was garbage. He said it was all garbage because he said, but they were like, well, when you was the heavyweight champion in work, he said at one time it meant something, but he said it means nothing to him anymore. Why? Because he's been compromising. If you don't think Mike Tyson has been compromised, then you're sadly mistaken. Okay, they got to Mike in the the late 80s, early 90s, man. You know what I'm saying? And this is what Yahweh Shai told us, man. Hey, seek ye the righteousness of the kingdom of heaven, and then all things will be added unto you. Matter of fact, let's go here. Let's go. Yep, this is the book of Matthew 16. And I'm going to go up a little bit. And it says, then Yahweh Shai said unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself. And these celebrities, they didn't deny themselves, man, okay? They wanted it now. And that's Jake. Jake has a very impatient and covetous spirit. So when Jake sees something and it appeases him, he wants it because our people, they lack discipline. Okay, Jake lacks discipline and humility. Okay, Jake wants it now because Jake, we're royal people. So it's naturally for us to want to live that decadent lifestyle. But Jake don't understand that we're under the curses of the Most High right now and that this is a punishment. So Jake sell out in order to supersede the curses, so to speak, or sidestep the curses, because a lot of them don't sell out with the intention of being wicked, but they just get caught up in it because, Esau's the devil. He's very subtle. He's very crafty, man. Okay. Notice in those skits, they always show the devil and he gives him a briefcase of money and there's always an Edomite in a suit, and Esau sets up Jake's to be gatekeepers in this industry in order to hide himself. But overall, Jake, he's under Esau like Dame Dash, man. Yeah, they may have their own companies and all this other shit, but ultimately it's a small hat that's financing all that shit, man. Okay, they want you to believe in Jay-Z's rag to riches. Oh, I was a major big-time dope dealer. And, I was on a block of Brooklyn projects and all that. Man, that's all bullshit, man. Okay, a lot of these celebrities have made up fabricated histories. They give them a backstory, and all of a sudden they just put these guys in your face. But when you do the extensive research, you can't really find anything concrete on these men. But yet Jake looks up to them and they start to mimic their behavior. And then before you know it, Jake goes in the streets and try to live a lifestyle like a rapper, and he ends up dead or in jail. It happens all the time. Like if you go into the meetings that they had in the early to mid 80s, they had a meeting with a lot of these big executives, and they brought in a couple of artists, and they was like, well, we want to invest into private prisons. We want to invest millions and billions of dollars in these prisons, but we need to figure out how to make good on our return. And they was like, well, let's push death and destruction through music. That way these people will mimic it, and that way we can get good on a return, because it's all a business at the end of the day. And they said that a couple of those artists walked out and was like, nah, I'm not with it, because you notice rap went from conscious rap to bubble, it went from like the kind of the positive rap, the influential rap, to the conscious rap, to the gangster rap, and then all of a sudden it just went whole bubblegum shit for about a decade. Then it turned to drill rap, And this is the result of it now. So every 10 years or so, music changed genre. Like a lot of times when you listen to old cuts back in the 90s and you got certain celebrities that's still relevant today, you notice it don't sound the same. People like, why y'all don't go back to your old sound? Well, it's not the fact that they won't go back to it because it's not part of the trend. Okay, like a group I think about, like I like Bone Thugs and Harmony, right? A lot of people are mad at them because they don't sound like how they sound when they first came out in the 90s. I'm like, well, you got to look at it this way. That type of music, that type of horrorcore and hardcore rap thug shit is I won't necessarily say it's played out, but that's not the agenda no more, okay? They've passed that agenda. Now it's something else. So it sounds more commercialized, more hip-hop, upbeat, upkill, and most people like, man, I don't like this sound because it's not part of their agenda to go back to that. That's already been fulfilled. You know, if you think you're going to get a 1993 R. Kelly's bump and grind vibe from his new shit, you're not going to get it because it's not part of the agenda no more. Like adultery, they was pushing adultery heavy. Even in the 60s and 70s, they was pushing adultery in those songs, man. You know, Me and Mrs. Jones, them old cuts, you know, Atlantic Star, you know, One Way, you know, all the good cuts and shit that our parents grew up on, and that you got woke up 3 o'clock in the morning, you get to step in with your parents and shit on a school night. Hell yeah, man. They don't make them like that no more. But it was all part of an agenda, man. You know? And it says here, and Yahushua said it to his disciples, if any man come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever would save his life shall lose it, and whoever would lose his life for my sake shall find it, okay? And we lost our lives for the Lord on this side. This is why we're so, I won't say insignificant, we're infamous. They know about us, but we're not really tolerated. I mean, we're tolerated, but we're not celebrated. People see us all the time, and they know who we are. They know our stance. They know we're very transparent. We don't cause any harm, but at the end of the day, it ain't like nobody's uplifting us and saying, yeah, these are the guys that we need to be looking up to. No, they just look at us like, okay, y'all here, y'all saying that, but y'all ain't really making no noise like that. But you got other Israelites out there that's trying to, like this one dude gonna say, oh yeah, well, I wanted to be, what this nigga say before he got exposed? When he was talking shit about us for about an hour and a half, he mentioned that he wants to be the advocator. He said something, I forgot what this dude Alazar said, but he wants to be the face of something like that to make it, because he said we make Israel look bad. You know what I'm saying? He wants to be the positive image over the face of Israel, but yeah, you get caught literally 4 days later wanting to get some, stuck up your backside, man. I mean, you might as well just fully went back in the world and sold out. I mean, you sold out any goddamn way, but you might as well just drop the Israelite act and go back in the world and be a rapper. Hell, you got the niggas with you. Go in and let Esau do what he gonna do with you, bro. You're already there. You know? But it says here, for what is a man profited if he should gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what should a man give in exchange for his soul? Okay. So I know I read that like 3 times, but sometimes Jay gotta get the meat off that drumstick, man. So let's do this. Sodomite. I think that's Leviticus 23. Leviticus. Deuteronomy 23. Deuteronomy 23:17, it says, there should be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. Okay, when you go into that, you got temple harlots. Okay, the sodomite, like Jalen Smith, he would be considered a sodomite. Justin Bieber, Nick Cannon, what's this guy's name? Brandon T. Jackson, which he totally denounced the faith. Okay, which he was never in the truth anyway. Just because you acknowledge that you're a Hebrew Israelite doesn't mean that the Heavenly Father is dealing with you on an exclusive level. Especially when you put on a damn dress. Like Martin, he came out and said, well, I don't care about wearing a dress because I'm in tune with my masculinity. Well, it's the exact opposite. If you put on a dress, it's because you're not in tune with your masculinity. You see, Dave Chappelle said that. He went in and said, why do they want to put us in dresses for? That's all part of the ritual. You ain't that comfortable with yourself that you got to do Big Mama's house 1, 2, and 3 if that's a third one. Same thing with Cat Williams. He was like, they wanted to put him in a dress, and I'm suspect about Cat too, because he seems a little effeminate as his damn self. He brought out all that information maybe last year, but at the same time, I'm like, Cat, you've gotten touched too. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't act like you avoided it. Even with this guy Terrence Howard, I'm like, he did some big movies. He has a decent name out there. He's a decent actor, and I refuse to believe that he didn't. Clearly he knows what's going on. Now, whether he went through fully with it or not, but I'm pretty sure the offer has been extended to him. Now, whether he took it upon himself, who knows? But this is a wicked world, man. This is why I gotta burn.
What benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in, no matter what.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the
Hell
consequences
yeah.
when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week.
And you got some sick fucking niggas in this world, bro. Like, that nigga P. Diddy, he was a demon. And the crazy part about it is, that cougar, Jack Right, she bought it out. She said before Diddy, that was LL Cool J. And LL Cool J looked like he's been compromised, man. That big, swole, bald-faced demon. The crazy part about it is, a nigga could knock your ass out, too. It was a thing that, I think it was on the set of Any Given Sunday. I forgot him in the movie with Jamie Foxx, and allegedly he knocked this nigga Jamie Foxx out on set. You know what I'm saying? But that's a big, swole mo, if you know what I mean. So Jake is just totally fucking wicked, man.
And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing, and have lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that shit. Because the man card means everything.
I had no idea we're going to go this direction with the podcast.
That's why that devil's so uncomfortable, because he know what the fuck it is, man. He asks these stupid questions, but yeah, man, you lose your soul in the process of that. The Lord ain't dealing with you. The Lord can't deal with you. That's why selling out ain't worth it, man. This is why I understand a lot of you Israelites out there. Gird thy loins. Scripture say, gird up thy loins, man. Be men. Job 38:3 says, gird up now thy loins like a man, for I was the man of thee, and answer thou unto me. And the term gird up thy loins in the ancient world, when we wore our garments and we was at war, we had to roll them up and cover our shit, because, our rods were, not to sound freaky or not, but, we were, we was pretty endowed as Israelite men, even to this day. And shit, you don't want to lose your rod in a fight. Last thing you want to do is get stabbed in the jewels down there, and you fucking make it home alive. You can't pop your wife, you can't procreate. At least if you're going home with a broken, 3 fingers missing, you can at least still, penetrate your wife. But gird up your loins. You literally took your garment and you rolled it up, you kind of diapered yourself up. That way your loins is covered, because shit, when we fought in the ancient world, limbs were coming off. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah. But the scripture say, gird up thy loins, man. All right. One more precept and I end it. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon 14. And I'm going to start at verses Let's start at verses let's start at verses 22. It says here, really the point, it's really, really the whole chapter is good, but I'm going to start at 22. It says, moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of Yahweh, but whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, that those great plagues they call peace, right? Plagues of the mind, man. You know, they can't sleep at night. They can't, you know, they can't think straight. That's why they always on coke. And then you got the ones that always got to have the women around them because they're trying to compensate for something they lost. Like, you can pop 1,000 women, but the minute you let one man go up in your ass, you can't get that back. Or the minute you get on your knees and do what you do to another man, you ain't getting that back. That shit is gone forever. You can pop 1,000 women, you know, once you didn't give up the hole or the mouth to another man, then you know you's through, son. Okay, and it says, for whilst they slew their children in sacrifices, and a lot of them put their kids through this shit. Look at this nigga Irvin Johnson, Magic Johnson's son. Okay, that dude is a total mo. This dude is 6'8", 274 pounds, can literally be an athlete, man. And yet he wants to walk around with 5-inch stiletto pumps and a skirt, man, and a pink purse. Like, that got to be an embarrassment to Magic Johnson, which he's a damn degenerate, man. Look at Will Smith. Look at his kids. His kids are all messed up, man. Kissing on your son in the mouth and all that shit. You ain't supposed to be doing no crazy shit like that, man. Okay, if you're going to kiss your son, you kiss him on the forehead or on the cheek. You don't kiss your son in the mouth, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't kiss your daughter on the fucking lips. That's wickedness, bro. That's against the scriptures. And it says, for yet they slew as their children in sacrifices, or used secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites. Yeah, them rituals. It says they kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled, because you got orgies and all this other stuff. They wife swap, they swinger. Jada and Will is known for wife swapping, bro. They deal with each other. He deals with men, she deals with women. He deals with women, she deals with other men. You know, and that's common among celebrities and Jake. And it says here, undefiled, but either one slew another traitorously or grieved him by adultery, so that there reigned in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, theft, and dissimulation, corruptness, unfaithfulness, tumults, perjuries, disquieting of good men, forgetfulness of good terms, defiling of souls, changing of kinds, disorder in marriages, adultery, and shameless uncleanliness, man. And this is where it starts. It says, for the worshiping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. Okay? So that's the point, you know, for worshiping of idols. For either they are mad when they be merry, or prophecy lies, or live unjustly, or else lightly forswore themselves, for insomuch as their trust in idols, which to have no life, they thought they swear falsely, yet they look not to be hurt, because they think that these things is like a refuge. They think they can get them out of the deplorable state that they're in, man. All right. Howbeit for both causes shall they be justly punished. But because they thought not well of the Most High, giving heed unto idols, and also unjustly swore in deceit, despising holiness, man. For it is not the power of them by whom they swear, but it is just the vengeance of sinners that punisheth always the offenses of the ungodly. So the Lord give you over into your own ruin. This is why we tell you, Jakes, man, it ain't worth it. Just wait on the Most High, man, and we gonna get everything that's restored into us. But anyway, with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Hawashai. Lord's will, you are edified. To the next lesson. Shalom.